Do you know the hidden truth about the COVID vaccine? If I asked you, who do you have to thank for the COVID vaccine? You would probably say Pfizer, or some of you might say Moderna. But what if I told you there was a hidden figure behind all of this? What if I told you there was a hidden secret behind all of the vaccines that we have today, from the common flu to the COVID vaccine? This contributor is even credited by the World Health Organization for major medical advancement that impacts the world's population. Without this person, none of this research would be possible today. Still don't know who I'm talking about? Well, that's perfectly fine. Settle in, because I'm going to talk to you about the hidden figures behind Black history and how that impacts us today. My name is Maya Douglas, and I love to keep up with Black history for multiple reasons. One, because I'm Blackity Black, and two, because Black history is American history. You can't have one without the other. So happy Black History Month to everyone, and let's get into this amazing, iconic hidden figure, Miss Henrietta Lacks. If you haven't heard of Miss Henrietta, I'm not surprised, because honestly, erasure is a thing. But I had the complete honor of knowing about her in high school when I was assigned The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by an AP English teacher that I had. This was well before the Southeastern region completely erased Black curriculum from the public schooling system, but I guess the more you know. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks was one of the major impactful books that I've ever read, especially starting off, still shaping my view of the world. That book really let me know, babe, you might not be safe out here, okay? But it was an amazing, heartfelt story, and it really highlighted her, but also really got into the unethical practices that allowed us to be able to benefit from literally her body today. But before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about Miss Henrietta, because if you were to talk about Miss Henrietta today, you would be able to call her an absolute baddie, all right? People say that she was short but fierce and was always putting that shit on. Red nails, pleated skirts, completely tailored. Shoe game, literally impeccable. If you were to see her on the street right now, you would be like, yeah, she's that girl. She's exactly who she thinks she is. She was born August 1st, 1920 in Roanoke, Virginia. And unfortunately, her mother did pass when she was 4 years old. So she did move in with her grandmother. Her grandmother had a tobacco farm, which she lived and worked on for a large part of her life. It's also where she met her husband. And you're probably wondering, how did she get land? Well, actually, the land that they lived on was plantation land, and it was passed down from her white great-great-great-grandfather. So I guess they got something out of that. She was an extremely hard worker, and when she did get married, she did start to have children. She had 2 while she was still living in Virginia before they decided, let's move to Maryland and try and make something bigger for our lives. And shortly after that, she had her 5th child. And this was a significant pregnancy, because prior to her having her 5th child, she felt like something was off. Like there was a knot inside of her womb, and she was trying to figure out like, what could it be? But a lot of people around her guessed she was pregnant, and they were also correct. While that was not the result of why there was a knot in there, it did result in her having a complete hemorrhage while she was birthing, and she was instructed to go immediately to Johns Hopkins Medical. So in 1951, she strolled into Johns Hopkins Medical to get an idea of what was going on with her uterus. That's when they gave her a biopsy and then also misdiagnosed her and said that she had a completely different cancer than cervical cancer, and she did not get the proper treatment. A lot of people like to debate whether or not she would have gotten the proper treatment anyways, because this was a common misdiagnosis and the treatment was kind of similar anyways during that time, so it really wouldn't have mattered. But the reality of it is, a mixed diagnosis is a mixed diagnosis, no matter how you cut and dice it. So yes, it does matter. The record should have been correct. However, they did an amazing job at harvesting her cancer cells. So while they were giving her neglectful treatment, they did harvest her cells, and lo and behold, the cells that they were looking for that would make everything the best that it could possibly be in the world were hers. They hit the major jackpot. Usually with human cells, within about a few days after a few divisions, they die off. But Henrietta's, they multiplied, like doubled in 24 hours. It was something that they've never seen before. It was actually like magic, and they could not believe their eyes. Sadly, during this time of her unethical harvest, Henrietta did pass a few months later. Now, of course, one will question, was she really given proper treatment, or were they too busy focusing on the fact that she had amazing cells and not really getting the treatment that she needed? Even now, to this day, Black women do not have proper access to medical care when it comes to internalized biases and socioeconomic issues. When it comes to socioeconomic status, it really depends on the type of care that you can get. So do I think she got the best treatment possible to make sure that she could live to take care of her 5 children? More than likely not. Now, back to her cells, because this is a major moment. The scientists and the researchers are like, whoa, we have cells that we can use infinitely. They are literally immortal. And that's how we got the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, because the HeLa cells that we know and love today are actually the cells of Miss Henrietta Lacks. And if you didn't know, the HeLa cells were used in the research development for the COVID vaccine. The HeLa cells are used for a basis for almost anything you can think for medical research. It's used in cancer research, HIV, gene mapping for like in vitro, the polio vaccine. So many things have come from Miss Henrietta Lacks. And to think that her family didn't even know this was happening for decades. So much advancement in the medical field was occurring, and people, of course, pharmaceuticals, were making money, buckets of money off of Miss Henrietta Lacks and the unethical harvest of her body. She did not consent to her body being used for this. Well, I do believe that she probably was so honored to know that she has saved so many lives. But at the same time, I wonder if her family ever had true access to actual care. And the recognition does matter because unfortunately, we live in a social society where social currency does matter. It actually wasn't until 2023, 72 years after the harvesting, after all of the money made, all of the lives saved, all of the things that have been done in medical advancement by Henrietta and her cells, that they finally got a settlement for the family that is still alive and preceding her, that is still alive, that she has left behind. And I'm like, what? I am very glad that they finally got compensated for that. But of course, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, better late than never. But also, you should have asked. Bodily autonomy, especially when it comes for Black bodies in America, has never been a thing. Black bodies have always been seen as a tool and a resource for the greater good of people that are not them. Even when it comes to cervical cancer, the literal cancer that Henrietta passed from, Black women are still the highest mortality rate, the highest. So even all of the research that is done, we still are dying at a higher disparaging rate. Is this research ever even meant to benefit our community? More than likely not. And then I also wonder, was she the only one? There's no way you just thought, I'm going to take these cells right here from Miss Henrietta, and I bet this is the jackpot. There are probably countless women who went through Johns Hopkins during that time, and they were collecting their cells as well, and they just happened to land on her, and were a miracle that she happened to be the one that they needed. On top of that, the naming of it, the HeLa cell. I would love to really sit here and think about it, because anytime a white man discovers something, they put their last name on it and slap it on there big as day. And you always wonder, who is that? Where did that come from? And I really do believe that HeLa cell should not be named HeLa. It is literally misleading. It makes you think that it's some random periodic table shit that you don't even know what it is. But reality, it's Henrietta. It's the Lacks cell. It's the Henrietta cell. It's whatever. But I'm going to say it. Say her name when it comes to that cell, because that is a very powerful thing. Those are her cells. And when you say the Henrietta cell, the Lacks cell, it makes people question, who is that? And then her story gets to be told. It was intentionally done to erase her. And I will never call it the HeLa cell, because it is Henrietta cells. It is Henrietta Lacks cell. It's really not that hard to say all of it. Time somebody says, thank God for Pfizer and Moderna and all of these random pharmaceutical companies for making all these things possible, make sure you mention this in conversation. Actually, shout out to Henrietta Lacks. Shout out to Miss Henrietta, because without her, we would not have the advancements that we have today. And even the WHO has told you that as well. So again, my name is Maya. Thank you for tuning in with me on this. And I am signing off for the first week of Black History Month. I will see you very soon. And if you haven't read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, add it to your TBR now. Okay, bye.